Microphone. We'll call to order the City of Douglasville City Council meeting for tonight. This is our legislative work session. Our invocation will be done by Elder Frank Virgil of Light of Salvation. After that, our Mayor Pro Tem will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you don't mind, please stand for the invocation.
Good evening to the Honorable Ms. Rochelle Robinson, distinguished members of the council. I'd like to pray, and they say if you pray, believe that you receive it. So I'm not just praying. I want you to hear what I'm saying and agree if you agree. Heavenly Father, we praise and thank you for this day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing and glad in it, Father. We praise and thank you that we all, City Council of the City of Douglasville, all saved, sanctified, set free, full of the Holy Spirit, highly favored, established in righteousness, empowered to prosper, skillful in the word of God, healed from the top of our head to the soles of our feet, that we the head, not the tail, above, not beneath, lenders and not borrowers, Father, and that we ecstatic that we are children of God. And we say all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge, and you're welcome. And thank you so much, Elder Virgil, for that proclamation that you prayed over us. We appreciate it. Now we will go into announcements and presentations, and we do have a presentation to the City of Douglasville from Google by Russell Bonds and Carolyn Hazard. Are you all here? Oh, that's, hey there. So this must be, oh, excuse me, the Gravity Games.
Yes, ma'am. We just wanted to say thank you. We had our Gravity Games event, and we're grateful to the council for agreeing to continue supporting us and then working alongside us. We're grateful for your support, and really, really we enjoyed it. And just as a small memento of our appreciation for working together so hard on this and all the work you did, we wanted to present this to the city as a memento of the event. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, we'll have council members make comments. Could you please give us your name and address for the record? Mayor Pro Tem Siegel, and I didn't tell you that, so I apologize.
My name is Russell Bonds, B-O-N-D-S. My address is 87 Battlegate Lane, Dallas, Georgia, 30157.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll come around and take a picture. If we can just give them a hand for coming to present that to us this evening.
Ready to shift just a little bit, yeah. Yeah, no, you'll be good now, yeah. Just tuck in real tight on this side. There you go. Perfect. All right, big smile. Excellent, thank you.
Very nice, lots of fun. Well, I will go over protocol for this evening for our city council meeting so that we'll all be on the same page and we'll be able to conduct our meeting in an orderly fashion. The committee chairperson is going to read all of those issues after I tell you how we start the meeting. We would like to welcome you to the Douglasville City Council meeting for tonight. We asked if you have cell phones or any electronic devices, if you put those in silent mode or turn those off during the meeting so that they will not be disruptive. We have an opportunity during the time for agenda items that will be discussed for public hearing for zoning matters. If you're against it or for it, we'll have an opportunity for you to come to the podium. You give us your name and address for the record. Each person has 5 minutes to talk. If there is an agenda item that is not on this docket, there's an opportunity for you to come under citizens and delegates, and we ask that you would come at that time and give us your name and address for the record as well. Each person has 5 minutes. If you'd like to address us, there's a card or a piece of paper that you could fill out in the back, and we ask you to put that information on there and present that to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Ackert. And if you have anything that's printed, if you would please give that to her as well. We have received something here already during one of our times of hearing. We ask one person to speak at a time, and please do not be disruptive, and just respect each other as we're talking. If you do not go by those rules, we'll give you a warning. After that, we'll ask that you will leave the premises for the evening. Okay, the agenda items will be handled as the following. The committee chairperson will read the item, then the person representing that item will come forward. The applicant, please give us your name and address for the record. The mayor and myself and council members will possibly ask questions for clarification. Again, we have 30 minutes max, and each person has 5 minutes to speak. And this is not a question and answer format. It's not a debate format. We're just here to receive information. And that is it. We will move on, and that committee chairperson will conduct that hearing. So we'll listen to them to give you more directives as we go on. So we will go on to the committees, and the first committee I have this evening is Public Safety Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I have a couple of items.
Sure.
First item is hold a public hearing to consider a request for the change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverage license for the on-premises sale and consumption of wine and malt beverages, spirituous liquor, and the following establishment: License GMRI Inc. DBA The Olive Garden Italian Restaurant number 1531, location 6710 Douglas Boulevard. Current agent outlet manager is Radell Richardson. Proposed agent outlet manager Mario Catela, and the required fees have been paid into the finance department. Will the applicant please come down and state your name? And thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mario Catala. I'm the general manager at Olive Garden here in Douglasville.
Okay. Right now we want to hold a public hearing before we start the question. Why we have 5 minutes for those who are against you having an alcohol license at the Olive Garden, and 5 minutes for those who are for you having at the Olive Garden alcohol license. Right now we hold a public hearing. If there anyone out there that got any reason, come on down now, because 5 minutes will be up pretty soon. Just like a marriage, okay?
Is it in opposition, Councilman?
Yep, we got any opposition. Okay, we have 5 minutes for those, since we don't have no opposition, 5 minutes for those that are for. So since we don't have anyone come out, we'll close the public hearing. Okay? All right. Now it's question. Now we get ready to question you now, since we close the public hearing. And how do you go about training your employees to service of alcohol beverages?
We have a very good training. We have a 40-hour training. We are very mindful of observing, federal laws and state and local laws. We also have, as Darden restaurants, we have our own. So we are very mindful of them knowing, we card everybody that looks 30 years old or younger. In the event that somebody does not have it, they have to call a manager. A manager has to get involved. And basically, if somebody doesn't have an ID, we really don't care how old they look. We're not going to serve the alcohol. We train them, in what types of ID do we take, what to look for, if it might be something that is a fake ID or anything that they should not be taking, what type of ID do we take? We personally have different visual cues for them to know what's an alcoholic and what's not an alcoholic drinks. God forbids, we have a same table ordering a virgin pina colada and an alcoholic pina colada. So depending on the type of glass, the color of the straw, the type of garnish, they know what is an alcoholic and what's not an alcoholic. And we are extremely mindful of that. We don't want to serve somebody who might be an habitual alcoholic, so we train them on that, what cues to look for, what behaviors, the slur speech. We take 40 hours before we actually put them on the floor to wait on an actual table.
Okay, 40 hours. Thank you. Council members. Madam Mayor, thank you.
So much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Catella?
Catala, yes, ma'am.
Catella. Thank you so much for coming in this evening. I just had a couple of questions for you. You said if someone looks inebriated or if they need support, do you have an escort Uber, or how do you don't continue to serve them, or how does that work?
No, we definitely don't serve them. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are trained in how many drinks the body drink in 1 hour to burn that drink. So obviously it is very easy for them to go and get a manager involved right away. We are not that type of place, so it really
understood. I've eaten there
never
before.
happens.
Yes, sir.
But we are all well trained, and if we need to call an Uber, if we need to call somebody. But I've been in this restaurant for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. It has never happened, thanks God. But we are ready to address that issue if it ever happens.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. The other thing is for the police department. Would you take, Mr.
We don't have any problems there, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other council members?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Catala, how long have you been employed at this restaurant?
At this particular restaurant for 3 years.
Okay.
I've been with Olive Garden for 8.
Okay, do you have previous experience managing as an alcohol licensee in other locations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all that I have. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Okay. Councilor Watts.
Mr. Chairman, this question I've never asked for, but I'm curious about it. You put your employees through your training. If an employee is coming from another restaurant and they've had training there, do they retake the training through y'all, or is there some kind of reciprocal or crossover?
There's tests and modules that in order for me to transfer them, I have to look at the computer and make sure that they're in compliance. So everything has to be checked that they have taken those tests. And if they haven't, it's not a derailer for me to transfer them, but they need to do those modules first, and then I can transfer them to my restaurant.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, sir. If you come back on Monday, and we'll have you answered in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, moving on, Madam Mayor, to item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a new contract for probation supervision and rehabilitation services with the Judicial Correction Services, LLC, to continue the private probation supervision service from the company provided to the municipal court. Ms. Angie, please come on down.
Good evening, Ms. Angela.
Angela Cochran, 2083 Fairburn Road, Douglasville, Georgia. It's just a basic the new contract, yearly contract that we signed with JCS. Nothing's changed in it from the previous year. And if y'all have any questions.
Ms. Angie, do you have the name of the company?
It's Judicial Correction Services. We call them JCS Probation.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the council?
No, Mr. Chairman,
Mary.
I was just going to say, we do have a letter of reference here from our municipal judge, Judge Rollins, in support of the company.
Okay, so if it's the council pleasure, may I put this on the consent agenda for Monday?
Mr. Davis, I would ask Ms. Angie, what is your feeling? Do you?
I have worked with JCS at prior courts, and I love them.
Okay. No issues?
They're fair. They treat everybody decent, and they go right by the book.
So you feel confident in going forward and continuing that relationship? Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
Okay. So may I, Madam Mayor, is there a consent agenda for Monday?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Consent agenda.
That's all I have. Thank you, Angie. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for Public Safety. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item. That's to adopt a resolution approving a time-limited, performance-based ad valorem property tax incentive for the benefit of Douglas DC 2013 LLC and Gordon Food Service Incorporated, repealing Resolution 2018-70 and authorizing the mayor to sign a new tax incentives agreement and a memorandum of understanding, both as recommended by the Development Authority of the City of Douglasville, Georgia. Mr. Pumphrey, welcome.
You.
This sounds familiar. It's a do-over.
Failure. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me here this evening. Chris Pumphrey, 8512 Bowden Street, Douglasville, Georgia. So it is very familiar. We are basically coming back for technical reasons. You all approved Gordon Food Service to be on the tax incentive plan last month. Since that point in time, when you approved that, the company was going to do two separate bond issuances, or bond for title issuances, I should say, one for the real property, one for the personal property. They have since then, through their council and company, decided to do one bond issuance. So instead of, it's still the same amount, 24 million, but before it was 3 million for real and 21 for personal. It's all lumped into one bond. Also, you all approved a tax incentives agreement. When we did the last Gordon Food Service project, initial project back in 2013 or 14, there was an MOU that was tied to it. And so we failed to include that MOU when we approved this last month. And so now we're just attaching the MOU with the tax incentive agreement and having to approve one issuance for the project. It is set to go for closing on December 27th. Actually, I'm sorry, in front of the judge on December 27th, and for closing, I think, by December 28th. So that's what I have before you. Nothing has changed as it relates to jobs or anything like that. No additional truck traffic from the project as well. So everything is the same as what you approved. This is more or less just the technical changes that we had to make.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from Mayor and Council?
Thank you, Mr. Siegel. I do have one. I'm assuming, Mr. Pumphrey, you being the representative for us, for the city, for that operation, that Ms. Littlefield has already reviewed and approved the MOU, and we have no issues with that, it being something that's been added since our previous approval.
That's correct.
Wanted to make sure that was brought forward. I don't have any other questions. Thank you for what you do for us, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's all.
Anyone else? All right, then, if there's no objection, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday. And that's all we have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
I also would like to just leave a reminder, we do have our holiday reception next Thursday afternoon, starting at 4:30 to 6:30, I believe is the time frame. 8512 Bowden Street. Hope to see you all there.
You know, you just invited everyone in the room and those watching on TV.
Hey, come on.
Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you.
we have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to item 7, which is Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're
we have
welcome.
several items tonight under Planning and Development. First item A, 221884 was tabled December 3rd, 2018. Hold a public hearing and consider the appeal of Outfront Media LLC from the denial of a request for a sign permit for a LED sign face for an existing sign at 2978 and 3000 Highway 5, Douglasville, Georgia. Ms. Littlefield, do we need to vote to remove this from the table in order to have that public hearing?
You can vote to remove it from the table on Monday night, but you don't need to go forward. It's been withdrawn.
Okay, then we'll take no action on item A. Thank you very much. You were a step ahead of me there. Item B, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from RA Residential Agricultural District in the county and Quality Growth Overlay District in the county to IL Light Industrial District and Quality Growth Overlay District for 3.992 plus or minus acres at 1707 Blairs Bridge Road, 2.499 plus or minus acres at 1791 Lynch Road, and 4.492 plus or minus acres at 1808 Lynch Road in land lot 672, District 18, Section 2, parcels numbers 6, 2, and 5. Application by Cabot Industrial Value Fund 5 Operating Partnership LP. Representative for that application, would you please come forward? Give us your name and address for the record, and let me remind you of the mayor's comments concerning the public hearing, and we will go into that with you as the applicant starting.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Melissa Perignat. I'm with the law firm of Holtney, Zadkoff, and Wasserman. My address is 100 Galleria Parkway, Suite 1800, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. I have the pleasure this evening to be representing Cabot Industrial Fund 5, Operating Partnership LP, with respect to this application, as well as 2 others that are pending before you on the agenda today. In total, there is 5 applications or 5 actions that Cabot is seeking from the city in connection with their potential acquisition of a piece of property. I'm here today with Jerry Dawes. He's also a representative of Cabot. He's with Republic Property Company, and he's had a long history of working with Cabot on developing similar industrial developments as the one we're proposing here. He can tell you more about some of those developments, many of which are in Douglas County or Douglasville. So as I mentioned, just kind of because all of these applications kind of go together, the 3 applications that are on the agenda today are an application for annexation, an application for rezoning, and an application for amendment to the future land use map. There's also has been submitted an application for final subdivision plat, and Cabot's also requesting 3 variances, and so they all kind of go hand in hand. The application for a final subdivision plat and variances are not before you today, or we will not be discussing those because the final plat is, well, not final quite yet. So also just kind of wanted to jump to our ultimate request from the council tonight, which would be next week, is that we are seeking to have this tabled until your January meeting to work through the complexities of several of the applications, as well as the fact that because the subdivision plat and variances aren't on the same schedule, we need all of those to be approved simultaneously in order for us to know that we can develop the project as we're proposing. So our ultimate request will be to ask for the city to table us until the January meeting so that all of those can be addressed at the same time. And we'll reiterate that at the end. But just to give you a little bit more background about the property that we're seeking to have annexed and rezoned, the property consists of 3 tracts. It is between Blairs Bridge Road to the north and Lynch Road to the south. It's a total of approximately 11 acres, and the 3 properties are 1707 Blairs Bridge Road, 1791 Lynch Road, and 1808 Lynch Road. And Cabot is under contract to purchase these tracts of land, and many of the sellers are here this evening. And so these tracts are developed with single-family homes, and they're sandwiched between much more intensive uses. So to the south, there's light industrial development. To the east, there's also light industrial development. And to the west, there's a large multifamily development. To the north is Blairs Bridge Road, and there's single-family development past like a forested buffer on that side. And because of the development in the surrounding area and near the property, this location is really no longer an attractive or comfortable location for these single-family homes for these homeowners. And Cabot identified this property, given the uses nearby and its location, as an ideal location for a smaller scale industrial warehouse office facility. And so in looking at that, Cabot is proposing to develop a distribution center that'd be about 166,320 square feet, so much smaller than some of the other industrial developments in that area. The property would be developed by Cabot and then would be leased. And I know that many of the questions from the zoning board, we do not know the end user currently, but Jerry can give you some more background about many of the users that Cabot usually has in buildings that they construct and develop. And what brings us here for you today, we're before the city because the property is located in unincorporated Douglas County. But in investigating this site and doing our due diligence, we discovered that in order to make the development of the property work, we needed to exchange land with our neighbor to the east. We needed to swap a portion of the property we were acquiring for a detention pond parcel that is in the corner of the property. And if you look at this map here, this right here is not part of the 3 parcels that we're seeking to acquire. and so that's the parcel that we need in order for detention purposes and for development. Well, when we discovered that we needed that property is in the city. And so we had to decide whether we wanted to go forward trying to get that piece of property de-annexed so we could go through the county, or if we wanted to have all of the property annexed and go through the city. We had some discussions with the county, and we came to the determination that it would be more likely to be successful if we would go through with the annexation process through the city, as opposed to going through the county. And so, I mean, it forced us, because of this detention pond parcel, we couldn't just go forward in the county. And it's what brings us here before you to hopefully bring this development to the city of Douglasville. The current county zoning for this property is RA, residential and agricultural. It is located in the Work Center designation under the Douglas County Comprehensive Master Plan. And the Work Center in Douglas County specifically allows and encourages development such as this: warehouse, distribution, wholesaling businesses, and light industrial uses with planned centers. The property is located within the Quality Growth Overlay District in the county. We are asking for the property to be rezoned within the city to IL. The surrounding properties, as I mentioned, to the west is the multifamily development. That's within the city's jurisdiction, and it's zoned R6. To the east is light industrial, and that's in the county. To the south is light industrial in the city, and to the north are the single-family homes, and that's RA in the county. The properties in this area are within the future land use designation for the city as a regional activity center. And the city, the surrounding city land is within the Quality Growth Overlay District of the city. Cabot is seeking to have it zoned IL with no Quality Growth Overlay District.
I believe your time has expired.
Okay.
Thank you. We have heard the information from the applicant. Are there other individuals here that would speak in support of this application? Please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes. Seeing no one to speak in, there is someone to speak in favor, please come forward.
My name is Catherine Chamberlain, 1707 Blairs Bridge Road. And I would just like to request that y'all would change this over so that we could go ahead with our lives. It is not a residential area now. It's very commercial. We have Keurig to the back of us, Staples. There's a truck line beside us, and we've got a lot of traffic. And it's no longer a residential area. It's not a peaceful place to live. We would like to ask that you please change this for us so we can get on with our lives and have a peaceful future.
Ma'am, could I ask, you are at present one of the owners of the property?
1707,
Okay, and you live there as your residence, is that correct?
Right now we have moved, but the house, we still own the house.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there others that would speak in support of the application? Seeing none, I will ask, are there any here that would vote or that would not vote, but that would represent a position of opposition to the application? Anyone here that would speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, we will then close the public hearing. Are there questions that council would have of the applicant or of anyone that has spoken? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. I did meet with the applicant on Tuesday, and we had a great discussion. This is in my ward, so I'm very concerned, and they know this. I'm concerned about the residents of the columns at Sweetwater Creek immediately to the east, to the west, as you mentioned. There's 270 units there. It's not single-family homes, but those are still, people that we are concerned about what might come with more light industrial in the area that we already have, as has been indicated, several other light industrial, and just adding more doesn't make it better. Also, it was mentioned that right across the street, across Blairs Bridge Road, through the woods, there's more single-family residences, but immediately east of that, you'll see it on your map, is the Manchester Place apartments, which are outside of the city limits, but that's another 420 units, going up to 3 bedrooms, some of them. So we're really talking about 690 apartment units between those two those two apartment complexes. So I'm concerned about the impact on them, even though they're not in single-family homes and it's a higher intensive use already. I am concerned about what could happen if we bring in yet more light industrial there. I am sensitive to the current property owners who would like to sell, but we also have to think about all the others who are already living there. We've had issues, conflicts in the past when we put industrial right next to people's homes, and that's why we have the Sweetwater Master Plan and why we have the Quality Growth Overlay District. So these are all factors that we have to make sure not to overlook as we consider this. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Are there others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I know to the applicant that you all stated in the beginning, that you stated in the beginning of your dissertation that you wanted to table these issues to the January 3rd and 7th meetings. And so I'm not certain if what's inclusive of that tabling would have a traffic study or anything, Mr. Schaefer, as relates to, because some of the issues that Mayor Pro Tem brought up, of course, would be a lot of egress and more congestion for traffic for people that are already in the area. So I'm not certain if this light industrial tract, if we were to change it to that, your company hours or anything, is it 24 hours a day? Are you relegated to a certain time frame, or how is that?
We are the developers and the owners of the project, not the occupant. This building was built with intent of leasing it to a tenant mix.
Okay.
So at this moment, we couldn't tell you exactly what the operation. We can give you we've built over 20 million square feet of this type product around the country, and can give you an idea of what that looks like.
Yes, sir.
A normal tenant for us ranges in the size of 30,000 to 50,000 feet. They might have somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 35 employees. And that means for the building, you might end up with a total tenant mix that would have an employee base of 70 to 85 to 100 employees. They all have various operating hours. The distinction I'd like to draw between Councilman Siegel's concept of light industrial is that the majority of the product, the industrial product that's already in Douglasville or that has been approved in both the county and the city over the last few years are very large, 500, 800,000 square foot buildings with tremendous truck traffic. That's not what we're proposing here. What we're proposing is a much smaller, lighter, truly a light industrial. A typical tenant of ours would only have 5 to 8 trucks a day. Well, if you look at our neighbors to the south of us, they might have 250 to 300 truck movements a day, so it's dramatically different.
Okay.
And so to look at what we're proposing based on what has come before you in the last few years, there is a distinction between that. So I would hope that if I could convince you of anything, it's that not to judge us on the heavy truck traffic that's been there or that exists today there. One other thing I'd like to point out is that this particular location, and I handed out before the council meeting started a little package. The very first sheet on top of that is an aerial of the area from Thornton Road to I think it's Old Vermont or
Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon Road.
Thank you, Mount Vernon. If you look at that, this is one of the last parcels that's developable. Everything else has been developed either industrial, commercial up on Thornton Road, or multifamily. And as these homeowners initially looked to sell their property, they considered what options they had available to them, and truly industrial is about the only option that they can build. It's not likely going to be a residential development, given the dynamics of the area. It's not likely going to be a commercial development located in the center of this activity center. You know, hotels, motels, they're going to be up on Thornton near the expressway. retail, no, it's not surrounded by enough rooftops to make it a viable retail development. So to preclude industrial really precludes these folks from ultimately selling their property. And as they all have said, they're looking to move to that next stage of their lives by monetizing this asset and then candidly going on to enjoy it. So we ask that you consider that, because and Commissioner Siegel pointed out to us that the whole purpose of the overlay was to discourage industrial. But to discourage industrial when everything around you is already industrial and you're the last person in is patently unfair to these property owners. Now, I say that with the most prejudice in the fact I want to build this project, so please take it for what it's worth. But truly...
Appreciate your honesty.
No, you're too smart to know otherwise. So it really is the last opportunity they have to sell their property. I just ask you to consider that. And this being a much lesser impact than what's there today, I would hope you'd give that due consideration as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Coach?
Mr. Chairman, actually, my question is for Mr. Siegel. The residents that are in that area that you described, has anybody reached out to you from that community?
I've not heard from anybody, and I would expect they are not aware of this is happening. I saw the signs out there advertising the proposed application and public hearing on the second time I drove by. We've got better signs than we used to have, but you're still not going to notice them unless you're actually looking for them. And to read them, you would still have to get out of your car, or there's no place to pull over and get out of your car and look at them. So I've not heard anything, short answer, but I didn't expect that anybody is really aware of it.
Thank you all. I had a couple of things, but I wanted to publicly apologize to you all. First of all, I did receive an email 2 days late, and by the time I received it, my fault, Mr. Siegel had already met with you, so I apologize. It was not that I was not interested in speaking with you, but I think he's done a very good job in that area. If you could, without committing to anything as far as whom would be occupying, can you give us an idea of other developments that you have done this size, and just give us some ideas of the tenant?
Sure. We have one not far away that we just completed over on 3rd Flag Boulevard, if you know what that's at, just on the other side of Thornton. The tenants there are the University of Georgia, which is a Board of Regents. They store records. So it's a record storage facility for the University of Georgia. Ernest Machines is a client of ours in that building. They are about a 35,000 foot tenant with approximately 18 employees, and they are parts, milled parts for machinery, replacement parts. It's a very skilled workforce. We have, just not further down towards Fulton Industrial area, we have another project that is they do high impact plastic products. There it's about a 65,000 foot tenant that has an employee base of about 45. Again, they're actually distributing their own product there. Some other tenants of ours in the general vicinity are Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines, both of which do their commissary. So we have little bottles of liquor, and we have the little crackers everybody gets, and the cookies. And they run that, both Delta and Southwest both run it with their own employees. They're not using a third-party logistics company. So our typical tenants are not heavy distribution. They typically have an office component that makes up 25% of the building space. As I said earlier, they typically have they'll have somewhere between 0.6 and 1 employee per 1,000. That sounds kind of cold, but in average, that's about the ratio. And they typically are distributing to a base of customers in this area. They're not distributing to a large regional area. They're kind of servicing a client base in more of the Metro County area. In this particular case, they'd be dependent on I-20 access because of they're moving their customer base up and down I-20 and north and south on Thornton. So they tend to be softer uses.
Gotcha.
That
Thank you.
help?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, Coach Watts.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just had one last question. This type building, would this be a building that one tenant would move into, or is it possible that multiple tenants could be in this building?
We would love to have one tenant. In all probability, we'd end up with somewhere between 3 and 4 tenants, would be the historical mix of building of this size.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Mr. Miller?
I had one question, I'll make sure I understood. Is this parcel that you're asking for the city to annex into the city?
Currently in the county being annexed, we're requesting annexation into the city.
Okay, when the other two parcels as well?
The 3 parcels, yeah, that we're seeking to have.
So all 3
annexed.
you're requesting to be annexed into the city?
Correct, yes.
And the county's current zoning for that is residential agricultural?
Correct. The single-family homes there. Now, the piece that we are acquiring from the landowner, the swap, kind of the exchange parcel, that is currently in the city and zoned IL.
So you have to subdivide the property first, and then
Right, and that's why we're up for final subdivision plat as well.
that explain why there's 114 pages to this agreement? Okay. You can't condense that a little bit, could you? Like the Reader's Digest version? Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions, comment? Okay, then if you all will come back on Monday night, then we will take action on this item.
Thank you so much.
You may want to sit tight. We may have questions about the next 2 or 3. I believe it's 2. We'll go to item C. Consider a petition to annex 3.992 plus or minus acres at 1707 Blairs Bridge Road, 2.499 plus or minus acres at 1791 Lynch Road, and 4.492 plus or minus acres at 1808 Lynch Road in land lot 672, District 18, Section 2, parcels 6, 2, and 5. Application by Cabot Industrial Value Fund 5 Operating Partnership, LP. The applicant is here. If there are other items that you would like to present, other information you'd like to provide us with, again, give us your name and address for the record for our viewing audience, please.
Melissa Perignac, Holton, Zakoff, and Wasserman, 100 Galleria Parkway, Suite 1800, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. I'm here on behalf of Cabot in connection with the application for annexation. I believe we've covered kind of what we're looking for from the city. But again, I'll be happy to answer any questions after the close of public hearing if there's any additional questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Council, do you have any additional questions from the applicant concerning this petition for annexation of the 3 parcels that are not in the city, one very small parcel already being in the city? This would be the consideration of the petition for annexation. Question, comment? Public comment? Seeing none, then we'll go to the next item and take that up on Monday night. Item D, consider a request for approval for an amendment to the City of Douglasville's future land use plan from Workplace Center County to Regional Activity Center City for 3.992 plus or minus acres at 1707 Blairs Bridge Road, 2.499 plus or minus acres at 1791 Lynch Road, and 4.492 plus or minus acres at 1808 Lynch Road in land lot 672, District 18, Section 2, parcels 6, 2, and 5. Application by Cabot Industrial Value Fund 5 Operating Partnership, LP. Yes, ma'am.
Melissa Perignac, 100 Galleria Parkway, Suite 1800, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339, here on behalf of Cabot. And I do want to reiterate what we mentioned when our first application came up, that we are seeking to have all 3 of these agenda items tabled for your January calendar. Again, happy to answer any additional questions that the mayor or the council may have with respect to this application.
Thank you very much. Are there questions or comments concerning this item D?
I do have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Siegel.
When you mentioned the seeking to table to January, we do have 2 rounds of meetings in January, the beginning of the month and the middle of the month. Which one are you actually looking for?
The middle of the month.
All right, so on Monday, the chairman will make a decision on that.
And in consideration of that, we would need to include those dates as to when this would be tabled to. I think was the reason for Mr. Siegel's point, but we don't have any reason to know that information yet until we get to Monday and see where we are. No problem. Any other question, comment? Thank you very much, folks. We'll take that up on Monday night. We have one other item under Planning and Zoning, Planning and Development. That's item E. Consider a request for revised final plat approval for Arbor Square Center Shopping Mall for the purpose of reconfiguring Track 1 for 10.928 acres, Track 2 for 1.029 acres, Track 3 for 0.871 acres to reflect the as-built conditions at 9484 and 9552 Highway 5 in land lots 160, District 2, Section 5, Parcels 71 and 61, application by SSP Arbor Center, LLC. Would the applicant please come forward? How are you, ma'am?
I'm Amy Wells, and my address is 9595 Haverhill Lane, Johns Creek, Georgia, 30022. And I'm here on behalf of the owner of the shopping center to replat the shopping center. As you know, it was originally developed in the early 70s, and then we purchased the corner out parcel, the former Chevron Center, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then we finished our redevelopment of the shopping center earlier this year.
Yes, ma'am.
And since then, the Del Taco's been constructed and opened. So what we would like to do is parcel out the Del Taco so it has its own parcel. They've requested that for tax purposes, and then in case we ever would like to sell that portion of the shopping center off. And then for the corner, we just want to configure it slightly and swap land amongst our own entities to make it a better shape to fit today's retailers and their parking requirements and whatnot.
So now that you've completed that construction, by the way, it looks very nice, and we're very appreciative of it.
Thank you.
Everything's turned out really well. SS Arbor Land owns all of the parcels still. You are, I'm assuming, doing a land lease with Del Taco, is that correct?
Yes, we ground
Okay.
lease to them. Yes,
Got you, I understand. So basically, you just want to reconfigure now that all is done,
Yes.
and have a new final plat signed off to that effect, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Council, Madam Mayor, we do have revised signed plat there as an attachment, and I would ask if there are any questions or any comments of council on this application. Any public comment? If not, we will take this item up on Monday night for a vote, and we thank you for coming in, Ms. Wallace.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have tonight under Planning and Development Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to item number 8, which is Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight under Parks and Recreation to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, Inc. for the design of 3 city parks. I don't see Mr. Landrum. Ms. Hampton's probably going to fill in the gaps here and kind of remind us, but we did interview 3 companies on November the 29th, and this was the company that the council felt strongly about. Ms. Hampton, you have anything to?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. If you take a look at this agreement, this follows along with the company that you selected. Included in the agreement will be the kickoff meetings that will include the survey information and the concept meeting. So again, we will do these in phases for each of the 3 parks. That would include Jesse Davis Park, Willen Workers Park, and Mill Village Park. So at each point in the process, as long as budget is withstanding, we will be able to move further. If you choose not to move any further, we will stop at any point. But this at least starts us off with the public meetings, kickoff meetings, and concepts.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Does Mayor and Council, anybody have any questions or comments? Well, we're excited about this, and you know, the Parks and Recreation is really moving on a lot of things, and this is just one of them. And I don't have anything else. I'd like to place this on the consent agenda, if it'd be okay with council. All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That is all I had under Parks and Recreation tonight.
Thank you so much, Coach. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 items tonight. Item A is adopt an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2017-2018 flood fund budget. I'm going to go ahead and read item B also, as Ms. Callen approaches, adopt an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2018-2019 flood fund budget. Ms. Callen, would you give us the information on those two items, please?
Yes, sir. I'll address both of those. Karen Callen, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. The 2018 flood fund budget is for adopting the budget for actual revenues that we did receive, reimbursing us for expenses from the prior year. The 2019 flood fund budget are estimated revenue that we should receive that will clear out this project off the books.
Just as a note, Ms. Callen, we talked about this in our committee meetings. These are monies that have been due to us from Georgia and federal emergency management associations. The number that we received in 2018 for this past year, how much was that?
That was $189,491.
Okay, and then we have another amount that is due that we should receive hopefully in this coming year.
Of $106,535.
Thank you. I appreciate that explanation. That's just reimbursements from the flood in 2009. So if there's no objection, any questions of council further? If not, if there's any public comment or question, we'd welcome that. If not, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday night, please. Thank you, Ms. Callen. That's all that I have under finance, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Information and Technology Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Miller T.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item under Information and Technology. That is to authorize the mayor to sign a quote agreement with Interdev, Inc. for the city's purchase of computer hardware for the police department. Ms. Chelsea Jackson.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. The quote you have before you is a budgeted project from this year's budget. Basically, it is a redesign of our current PD network. We currently have a one-tier network, meaning that if the network goes down, there's nothing to, back up any of the information or help it to continue. This will move it to a three-tier network, meaning if the first tier goes down, the second tier will kick into place, as well as the second tier goes down, the third tier will kick into place. This helps us conform to best practices as it relates to our IT for the city. And as well as this was not bid out because this is also on state contract.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Any questions from the mayor or the council? Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. So for this backup system, Ms. Jackson, it's $94,000. This was budgeted already?
Yes, ma'am. This is a budgeted project.
And how long is the contract for with Interdev?
Oh, this will probably be done in the next month. This is not a contract. This is a quote.
Oh, this is a quote for the?
Yes, ma'am. A quote for the actual equipment.
Agreement for the purchase of the hardware. I missed that part. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Additional questions from council? Ms. Jackson, when we say quote, is that kind of the equivalent of a memorandum of understanding? Is that along the lines of what this is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It holds the same weight.
We already have an agreement with Interdev, so they will be coming on with their network engineers to resolve any issues and to ensure this network refresh is a positive experience for everyone.
So the quote is the price, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if it works like a memorandum of understanding, it's sort of like a general agreement that you're going to have a contract that follows with that. Mm-hmm. This is what these are the terms you're agreeing to, and now we'll follow up with the final contract after we come to an agreement on the quote. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No, that's not correct.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
It's a purchase.
Let the lawyers
It's a purchase contract. It's not a service contract.
I'm sorry.
It's a purchase contract, but it's not a service contract.
Okay, I got you. Thank you. Don't ask me for legal questions. That's not a good idea.
Same.
Well, you know what an MOU is.
All right. Well, if there is no opposition, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda. Okay. And that is all we have under Information and Technology, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller T. We'll move on to Maintenance and Sanitation. Vice Chair is Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 4 items to discuss tonight. All of them are appointments to the Douglasville Tree Advisory Board, posts 1 through 4. If it's all right, I will read each of those before we discuss them. Mm-hmm. Appoint Craig McManus to the Douglasville Tree Advisory Board, post 1, for a term expiring January 1 of 2020. Appoint Matt Ducharme to the Douglasville Tree Advisory, post 2, for a term expiring January 2021. Appoint Scott Daniel to the Douglasville Tree Advisory Board, Post 3, for a term expiring January 1, 2022. And appoint Randy Cooper to the Douglasville Tree Advisory Board, Post 4, for a term expiring January 1, 2023. Help us with that, Ms. Chelsea Jackson, please.
Yes, sir. Again, Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. This is for the newly established tree board, which was established less than a year ago by Mayor and Council. And you all will be interviewing the 4 individuals, actually 5 individuals, on Monday night.
So, and then we would then be in a position to vote for their appointments on Monday night also, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But we do have interviews on Monday, so we've not already interviewed these individuals. They will be coming on Monday. Okay? Any questions, comments? Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson. We'll take that up on Monday night. That's all that we have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chairman. We'll move on to the next committee, which is Transportation Committee. Will member of the Transportation Committee, Councilman Watts, please take this agenda item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under transportation.
Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. Move on to item number 13, which is Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee, also Mayor Pro Tem, member of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Education and Training Committee, member of that committee, Councilman Watts. Is there any business? 15.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Education and Training.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to item 16, which is Communications Committee, Vice Chair Miller T.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two items under communications. The first is to adopt an ordinance amending Section 17-3 of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance to add provisions regulating use of the city's logo and official seal and requiring the Community Relations Director to manage all city promotions and publications. And we have that very person here to discuss that issue. Thank you, Mr. Post.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jason Post, 6695 Church Street, Community Relations Department. This is the first item we talked about in committees. This is the communications policy updates. So this is social media, branding, media relations, and marketing materials. And if you have any questions about what we discussed, I'd be happy to address them.
Questions from the mayor or council? Any questions from the public? Okay. It is important that we do guard our logo and communications branding, I guess, just like a private company would. I mean, you have to take that same approach because especially with social media these days, there's a lot of hijacking going on out there, and so I think we're making the right approach on this issue. Okay, thank you, Mr. Post. We have a second item, which is adopt an ordinance to enact Section 17-12 of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance to require scheduling and supervision of public events by the Community Relations Department. Mr. Post.
Good evening again. This is the second item, and this one is relating to city-hosted public events. So these are the events that the city itself puts on. So this new policy basically allows us to coordinate all of our city events through a single unified department. That way we can have continuity and quality events that that we're putting on a good face for the events that we're putting on. So that's what this is. Basically, all of those events will be coordinated through our department, and we'll be able to promote those, and we'll be able to put on high quality events that really represent the city how we want the city to be represented.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the mayor or council?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to comment and thank Jason for taking this bull by the horns, for lack of a better word. I know that it's a big job, and this branding thing is far above my head and above my pay grade, but you're doing a great job with all facets of it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Madam Mayor, you have
No, sir. Thank you, Jason.
any questions from the public? Okay. All right, if there's no objection from the members of council, I'd like to also place these two items on the consent agenda for Monday evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no other items under communications.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chairman. Is there any other business to come before council members from the council members to the board? Yes, sir, you can.
I just want to take this opportunity to once again congratulate Keep Douglasville Beautiful on the awards that they received last week in Macon from Keep Georgia Beautiful, including Man of the Year for Mr. Craig McManus, who is one of the people we'll be interviewing on Monday, for all the work he has done with KDB as a volunteer. It was great to have so many of us able to go down to Macon to participate in this. So good job. Keep Douglasville beautiful.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. And in that same vein, the Christmas parade was phenomenal. We had 67 entries, which has never been. And it was a rainy night. It was rainy and cold, but it was very well attended. Santa Claus had a line from the front of the conference center all the way out past where these chambers are, so it was really well attended. And we appreciate the community coming out and celebrating the holiday season with us. So that was really fun. Yes, sir?
Well, since we're on this congratulating different departments, I'd like to congratulate police department as well as our Parks and Recreation that worked jointly with the Breakfast with Santa. That looked like it went over. I mean, it went over really well. From what I could tell, a lot of I only saw one screaming baby that didn't want to sit in Santa's lap. But other than that, it was great. And appreciate the police department and Parks and Rec working hand in hand on that.
It was really nice. Yeah, any other?
Madam Mayor, along the lines of the
Councilman
Christmas parade, I thought it went over really well. I appreciate all of the hard work that all the departments have placed in it. And I don't know that anyone is really, I haven't seen an announcement, but yours truly actually got to drive the truck to pull the float of the first place winner this year.
Are you serious?
I'll take that honor, by the way.
Who was the first place winner?
Tolman I Group.
Oh, that was
Float
you.
behind my truck.
Okay, well, it must have been you, Councilman Adams. That's why
But
they won.
I'm really proud of them. They did a great job. They're actually at my home tonight cleaning up the mess from all of that float
Goodness.
apparatus, and I'm glad of that. But just give a shout out to them. They really worked hard on it, and everyone did a great job. It
Yes,
was really
sir.
a great turnout.
It
really
was. It was
Thank
lots
you
of
all.
fun.
Thank the community.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Any other business to come before the body tonight? Thank you. Not seeing any, we'll continue on with the agenda. Item 18, City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you there, Mr. Dotson, looking very dapper. We'll move on to Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, that isn't chief, that's major. Oh my gosh, you are the Academy Student Award recipient of the year from your Academy. If you can just tell us what that award is right quickly. I know I'll put you on the spot and I want to embarrass you, but we're very proud of you.
I was just graduated from the Southern Police Institute Executive Officers course.
Yes, sir. But tell the other part, you're like the person of you're the dean's list, the city manager. He was the one
Go
to brag
ahead,
on himself.
Major.
I just made the dean's list.
He's
Yes, sir.
top of
And
the class.
He was top of class, and he received a letter from the university. So we, congratulations. Okay, I apologize. Oh, yeah, let's give you a hand. Very good. I know he's very modest. Anything from the police department?
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll move on to our city manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Mayor, you made the major turn red.
I
I'll tell you.
apologize.
That's hard to do. Just to remind you all that Monday, December 17th is your last meeting of the calendar year. Your meetings following December 17th, your first meeting will be January 3rd, followed by that following Monday will be your first voting meeting. City Hall will be closed on December 24th, December 25th, and January 1st. So you'll get a slight break, but we'll be right back at it on the 3rd. One of the things that I do want to mention is I'm going to call Ms. Chelsea Jackson and Ms. Patrice Williams up because we'll be gearing up for your retreat. I'll have on Monday the end of the year city manager's report to let you all know that as of the announcement that they're going to make, all of your goals that you set for January, staff has completed those. So we're 10 for 10, 100%, third year in a row. So we're going to aim for that again. But they're bringing an announcement that will help us with the old mill that we just received news from this week.
Great.
So they didn't know I was going to call them and put them on the spot. They didn't really want to do it, but I told them they had to do it.
Be ye also ready.
Well, we've gone on the road. Chelsea and I, we did a presentation down
Ms. Patrice, you have to give us your name and address. We already
Patrice Williams, 6701 Church Street.
And Chelsea Jackson.
He was going to tell me, that's why I said that.
Okay.
Chelsea
Yes.
Jackson, 6695 Church Street.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we were invited to do a presentation with MTAP. And basically, it's a group that come together come together to select different projects within the metro area. And so we put up the old mill site, Chelsea's baby. We did an application, wrote up what we would like as far as assistance from this group, and we were accepted as of yesterday. So we're really excited. They're going to take a look at the best uses for the old mill site. And so that will be less meetings, because this group, they're a bunch of planners, so they're going to come out here, give us some recommendations. We can say yay or nay to them, but we would certainly present that information to you, possibly at the retreat.
Yes, ma'am, and we get that at no cost. So, and those are students and university students and professional planners. So that's a big deal. We're one of 7, so those ladies had to go down and present present our costs. So I think that's an awesome opportunity for us to get some other experts to come out and showcase for us at no cost to the citizens. So I think that's a big deal. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. City Manager, are we going to discuss with Councilman Adams? It was under your committee, I think, about the potential elections for next year, or we're waiting for another opportunity?
Ms. Littlefield is going to put that item on the agenda, and as I mentioned, I can read out for you for the public. Your opportunities for a special election next year are in March, June, and September. And you all in your committee meetings talked about a consensus for June, but as I mentioned, staff is willing to do whatever is necessary for you all to get those special elections. So just for the viewing audience, to make certain that I have those clear, your available dates are March 19th, with qualifying on February 19th, and the election cycle for absentee ballots would be sent out on February 25th. If you were to choose the date of June 18th, qualifying would be March 20th of 2019, absentee ballots on May 28th. Early advance voting starting on the 28th as well, which you have indicated you do not want to go further than that, but you do have the option of September 17th with the available registration date of August 19th. So Ms. Littlefield is prepared to put into an item for you all to vote on Monday, whichever date you all find as a consensus.
Okay. And whose committee?
Put it under other business.
Okay.
What we've done in the past.
Okay, so we're just trying to see council members contact me and tell me your preferred dates. I know we did have a discussion, but we were missing Dr. Burdanley. And there still was, everyone was willing to acquiesce to a certain date, but I just wanted to make certain that we have the consensus, the majority consensus on the council on which of those two timeframes, either March or June, that we want to pursue. Okay. That's all you have, Ms. City Manager? Thank you so much. So we'll move on now to comments from citizens and delegates. And if you have sustained the meeting and you'd like to address us, the council and myself, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. And you have 5 minutes to tell us what you want to talk about. So you can come forward at this time if there's anyone that would like to speak. Someone said to be judicious. Was that the correct word? It was a SAT word, judicious about your time. You know, if you tell us a story now, I know it's Christmas time. You got 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Pierce, you're welcome.
Madam Mayor and council people. You know,
Mr. Pierce, you have to give us your name and address.
Larry Pierce.
Yes, sir.
4120 Van Sant Road, Douglasville, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
I've been here since 1968.
Wow. That's a long time.
But I wish y'all would stripe that road. I've already run off of it 3 times last week. It's so bad, the trucks have run off the edge, and so there's really no shoulder. And I'm serious, the headlights on new vehicles, and as soon as I get to the corner of my property, I'm safe. And I got about 100 feet to turn in my driveway. But seriously, that bridge and that road is really bad. So if the city would paint the rest, the county painted it up to my corner. Okay. Nobody appointed me in anything I'm trying to do, but sometimes I shoot an arrow into the air. And I'm trying to do three things here. And at any time, if anybody has a question, just stop me. All right. I got interested in about the train depot. And then, all of a sudden, I said, where's the train at the park? Well, I went to see it, and it's like a Santa Fe train like we had in the 50s. It's a diesel. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Doc Young fixed it about 25, 30 years ago. And then I found the guy, and I want to say, Miss Karen, at your front office,
Yes.
the lady at the front office.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, she did so many things for me, I bought her a rose.
That's sweet.
Seriously, I call her up and ask her for something, and she's got it for me the next day if she can.
Yes, sir.
So I said to her, can you find out where the train contract was? Come to find out, it's interesting. There was never a contract to fix it. It was somebody they found in Locust Fork, Alabama, about 2.5 hours from here, on the south side of Birmingham. Well, I haven't called the guy yet because I want to be real careful. From what I heard, the guy fixed the locomotive. And something happened, and he's holding the cars that are wood and the trucks, the things that go under, hostage. Now, those are my words. So I want to befriend the guy because from what I understand, he loves trains. He likes doing things as a hobby and a business. And I'm going to drive down there after I talk to him, and I'm going to see if I can get what's left, especially the trucks back, okay? All right. Then the third thing, y'all are going to get a kick out of this. You see this here? That is 526 pages from Jacobs Engineering that y'all hired to do phase 1, phase 2 of the study of the environmental impact for the mill. And I got real interested in it. And the first thing I got interested in is when Miss Karen called me back and said, Mr. Pierce, we don't have a hard copy for you to read. I said, well, how can I read it? Can I come in and look at a computer and sit there all day? No, I don't think you can do that. We'll cut you a CD. I said, a CD? I don't have a computer. I can't print it. Well, tell you what, we'll print it for you at 10 cents a page. I asked her if it was a senior discount, so I paid you $52.60. It's 526 pages. Now here's what's interesting. This here costs the city $50,000. It works out to about $100 a page. Now, phase 1 and 2. Now, it's really funny because I get involved in so many things it's kind of crazy. You see this book? This book came from the mill. And I bought it at the antique place about 2 or 3 years ago because I had invented something that involved cotton. And this book was printed in 1949, and it's about carding. So in reading this book, and in reading all this, believe it or not, I went through it in 3 days. You know why I went through it in 3 days? Because only 1/4 of it pertains to the mill. The other stuff is great big circles, concentric circles. Concentric circles mean this one, and this one, and this one. And from this point here at the mill, they said we're going to study every company that's been around Douglasville for God knows when. Ironically, the stuff they have, I didn't understand, called the Sunborn Map. Sunborn maps are maps that insurance companies did from the time of the beginning, and that's what they had in towns. So 75% of this is poppycock. By that I mean it has nothing to do with the mill. What it has to do with is trying to understand what the surrounding companies have. Did Hudson throw out some old grease? Did the body shop throw out stuff? Now, let me tell you something else real quick. I have found people that they say they can't find to talk to. I love doing that. I've talked to the people who's my friends at Martin's, and their mama and daddy maybe worked there. And in the case of 2 or 3 people, they worked there. The first thing I found out is...
now you can come and talk to me if you want to at City Hall so I can listen to you because we only have...
Okay. Let me finish this one sentence. Can I finish this one sentence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay. What I found real interesting is that a lot of times people make a claim to something, and I like to find out how come. Well, a cotton gin, way before my time, combs the cotton. A cotton mill puts the cotton together. They don't dye it. They don't do nothing to it except make it thinner and thinner. And the mill over in Villa Rica is called a hosiery mill. They dye it. There was never any dyes used there, but they don't know that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pierce. Now, we can talk about the train and the old mill, but you said you were going to call somebody and pay them in Locust Grove. You can call and pay for not city property, you know.
Pardon?
You said you were going to call someone in Locust Grove, Alabama, and pay them to come and, but that's city property. The train, you're going to pay for our train? That's very generous.
The train is at the park. That's city property, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the depot is 10 miles out of town.
Right, yes, sir, on
On
Chapel
private
Hill.
property.
Mm-hmm.
The train I'm talking about, the miniature
I
train.
know what you're talking about. At Hunter Park.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And it hadn't run since the flood about 9 years ago. The tracks are half gone because the water washed out some of the berms and the tracks had to quit.
I know, but you were saying that you were going to call someone who fixed the train,
Well,
but
I'm
and
gonna,
have them to come and
I'm
fix
gonna call
it.
a guy in Locust Grove, right here.
I understand, but you know, it's city property is what I'm saying, so you can't come to my house and take my property and pay for it to get fixed, is what I'm saying.
Well, he's had it for years and he doesn't want to let it go because something happened. I'm going to try to befriend the guy.
Okay.
And say, look, I'm a good Samaritan. Will you just forget about all these issues? And what do you want for the trucks?
Okay. All right.
I may have something to trade him in my yard.
Come and see me.
No, I don't want the trucks. I want to get it back.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you so much. We appreciate your time and energy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? You're welcome to come at this time.
Evening,
Good
Mayor
evening.
and Council. Nicole Miller, 8854 Campbellton Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I wanted to come here tonight and just thank you all for the outpour of love and support that Owen and I have received over the past couple of months, not only from you guys, but everyone in the city and the community. It's been amazing. It really has. And I'm sure that you guys have noticed that I do have a wonderful support system that's gotten me through. They've been somewhat of my cheerleaders. They're rather encouraging. So after lots of consideration and prayer, I've decided that I am going to run for my husband's seat on City Council. I hope you guys can all join me in this journey, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Miller. We appreciate you coming in. Know that we're still praying for you, and we appreciate your husband's service to the community. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? You can come forward at this time. Thank you. Not seeing any, we'll move on to staff reports. The staff report regarding upcoming events. Is this you, Mr. Aaron Sorowitz?
It is. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor.
You're welcome.
Aaron Sarowitz, 6695 Church Street. It's very brief today. We only have the staff Christmas party tomorrow morning where we'll announce the winner of the gingerbread house competition that you all judged this afternoon. And I also wanted to say that this morning, staff and the Douglasville Police Department took part in the Kiwanis Kids Christmas Special, where we went to Walmart and shopped with some of the local children. So that was a great experience. So other than that, that's all we have. If you have any questions, feel free to.
I don't think so. Any questions from council members?
Great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aaron. Is there any other business to come before council this evening? Not seeing any, then this meeting is adjourned.